always fantasy booked the Horsemen in the WWF in 1988 and 89 with Bobby Heenan in the J.J. Dillon role. If it's you, Arn, Rick, and Bobby, who could have been the fourth Horseman in the WWF, and do you think it could have worked well?
I think the Horsemen would have worked well wherever they were. And we would have been great with JJ. We would have been great with Bobby. They were the two greatest managers of all time. Cornette might be throwing daggers at me right now, but
Pretty sure he is.
It was for the people that we were. It would have worked, period, because the performance level, and we knew what to do and how to do it at at uh, at all the levels with all the opponents in singles or in tag matches, and it would have worked.
Who do you think could have been a fourth that was in the WWF when you were there? Would it have been Barry?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I mean it. The thing about it, the power of what the Horsemen were, is we were all stars in our own right. Flair was the world champion. He didn't need to be in the Horsemen. Barry was probably the best performer, or just, oh, I mean, he was 6'5", 280 pounds, and handsome, and oh my gosh, could do anything in the ring. And then Arn and I were arguably as good a tag team that has ever been in wrestling. And uh, then you just put the collaboration of us together. I mean, it worked whether you call this the Horseman or not.
Did you ever hear the rumor that Flair was in talks, negotiations, or talking with the WWF about coming into the company in the late 80s?
No, but I will tell you one TV show when Dusty was with the WWE or WWF.
Mhm.
Arn and I were with the WWF. Barry Windham came back to the WWF, and we were the only ones sitting around the monitor, and Vince was there, and he looked around like this and this. He looked at me or the group of us and said, "Am I safe?" That was it was a real laughing moment. It was.
I have seen people discuss someone who would possibly be associated with you guys, and it was Rowdy Roddy Piper. Now, he wasn't really in the company that much back in that time, but Piper, Arn, you, Bobby Heenan, man, that would have been something.
Oh gosh, Piper was fabulous. And I started uh when I was doing my refereeing in college, refereed some of his matches when he was working for the Funks.
Really?
Yeah.
I think everyone always forgets how long his run in the business was because everyone remembers 83, 84, and on top with Hogan. But like he worked for a long time before that. He wasn't just a couple years in when that happened. He'd been in the business 6 years by that point.
Oh yeah.
Always fantasy booked the Horsemen in the WWF in 1988 and 89 with Bobby Heenan in the J.J. Dillon role. If it's you, Arn, Rick, and Bobby, who could have been the beginning of your days in Southwest Championship Wrestling? What did you learn about tag team wrestling from Dory Funk Jr. and Terry Funk? Was there any advice or something you learned that maybe your father didn't quite teach you?
Um well, my dad was never really a tag team guy. Um I wrestled both Terry and Dory in singles matches, and I had the opportunity when I was in college to referee many matches with Terry and Dory. I think the most that I learned from anybody was when I refereed in college before I could start my career. Just being, it, it was back in most towns that you had one referee, and you refereed 6 matches. Um, and so you wrestled, you refereed a first match, a second match, a third match, which sometimes you knew why those guys were on the first, second, and third match. And then as you got to the semifinals and the main event, you knew why those guys were in the main events and why they were the stars. And so you got to be in the ring, doing part of the end of the match, the finish, the high spots, all that kind of stuff. And I think that is probably the absolute biggest launch to my career, because I was in the ring with the world champion, Harley Race. I was in the ring with world champion Dory Funk Jr. I was in the ring with world champion Terry Funk. I was in the ring with Dusty Rhodes, Wahoo McDaniel, when they would wrestle each other. And I was there, and Jose Lothario, and some of the greatest tacticians in the wrestling business. I looked at, and I watched and watched, and okay, this is what they did, and the crowd is screaming. This is what they did, and the crowd is sitting back down in their chairs, and that kind of stuff. And doing that while I was in college during the summers, and then when I first started to learn to wrestle, uh, I went to Florida, and I was just a mediocre babyface, and no, I was better than mediocre, but I was still, I wasn't a quality star talent as a babyface. There were a jillion people that could be better babyfaces. And when I came back to San Antonio and wrestled for my dad, and was a babyface for a little bit, because promoters' kids were always babyfaces. The promoter had to be in a babyface. And I finally talked my dad and Wahoo, who was our booker, into letting me switch heel. And it was like pulling teeth, but our business increased by about $4,000 or $5,000 a night when I switched heel.
Did you ever tell your dad I told you so?
No.
Okay. I didn't think so. I just wanted to make sure.
I was also the only promoter's kid, I think, ever that was a star working for somebody else other than his dad.